guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in a very happy Monday to you. It is GameTime Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by. We hope it was a prosperous weekend for you here as week 14 of the NFL season looking to wrap up here tonight with a big Monday night clash. Not exactly the kind of Monday night game I think the schedulers at the NFL were hoping that this game would be, given the fact that both Cincinnati and the Dallas Cowboys had big aspirations, as did a lot of people who bet their futures heading into the season. Dallas was supposed to contend for the NFC East, and of course, Cincinnati, in many spots, was a favorite to win the AFC North. And boy, oh boy, what a difference 13 weeks makes, because neither team living up to expectations. We've got much to get to on this game here tonight, as well as taking a peek behind the scenes of what we just learned over this weekend. And we learned a lot, not just in the NFL, but in Major League Baseball. And we welcome in our good friend George Kurtz here at the top of the show. And George, what a weekend it was. Last night, I've got to watch the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know, light and sage. I don't know what kind of voodoo or what they're doing, what kind of magic spells they've got, but I'm watching them pull out another unbelievable win at home against the Chargers. And at the same time, I'm reading how Juan Soto, if you thought the Ohtani offseason was crazy and that contract was nuts, nothing compares to what the New York Mets just did, making history by signing Soto to a 15-year, $765 million. Everything in the kitchen sink. He basically owns the New York Mets. Now, the question I have, Kurtz, is that all the New York Mets have to offer? Because at this point, how many World Series titles do the Mets have to win in order to make 15 years, $765 million worth it?
You know, that's a great question. I remember I had a buddy of mine ask me years ago when the Yankees signed Alex Rodriguez to the massive extension, how many World Series justifies that? And I thought two. So For Soto, I'm thinking 3, 1 every 5 years. That makes about sense, right? You're not going to listen. They're not going to win 7 World Series. You and I discussed before the break. Right now, December 9th, the Mets are second or third best team in their division. Now, they're not maybe all that far away from the Phillies and Braves, but they're still behind them. It's December 9th. I have to believe more moves are coming for the Mets. Maybe a top-notch starting pitcher, maybe a Corbin Burns, maybe a Max Fried. And, you take away Fried from the Braves and you put him on the Mets. Well, that does change dynamics here. What are they going to do with Pete Alonso? All right, are they going to go after him? They're going to let him go? For a lot of Met fans, Alonso's the heart and soul of that team because he's brought up through the organization. So what do they do? And do they need more than one starting pitcher? Does Manaea come back? There's a lot of moving parts with the Mets here. But listen, as a Yankee fan, I'll be the first person to tell you, found out about 10 o'clock last night, so about 20 hours ago, about a half hour before I'm going on with Gabe, by the way, on In-Game Live, that Soto signed, like $765 million. My first thought was, I can't blame Steinbrenner. All right, he offered a good contract. It didn't work out. All right. Soto, as a fan, I loved watching Soto, and Met fans will love watching him, right? He prepares like no other. He's a great hitter. That being said, that's all he does well. He's not a good defensive player at all. He's I don't want to say bad, but not good. Below average right fielder, and his base running sometimes leaves things to be desired as well. He's a great hitter, but he's not a great player. So there is a difference there. So keep that in mind here. But I was sorry to see him go. And I'm still trying to rectify how do I feel about this, but I wonder what's next for the Yankees. You got you saved $750 million because that's what they offered him, right? $760. Do you go out and get a Burns? Do you go out and get Christian Walker? Do you go out and get this guy, that guy, and go 4 smaller pieces to make up for it? You could make a strong argument that if they get the right pieces, that the Yankees could be stronger than if they just would have kept Soto.
Listen, I don't. I said it all along that if the Yankees aren't signing Soto, if he doesn't sign with him, it better not be because they came short to the table. It better be because he just doesn't want to play for the New York Yankees. Otherwise, the fan base, Kurtz, would just absolutely destroy Steinbrenner and company here. But it appears. Listen, when we're talking whether it's $720 million, $15 million, $760, you've got to be offering 27 World Series titles, an opportunity to play at Yankee Stadium in that short porch, in the American League, which, let's be honest, Kurtz, even with him on the Mets, they're the third best team in that division. Bar none. I don't care. I don't know what they think Soto is going to do to somehow elevate them to being better. The Phillies likely to be better. Atlanta likely to be better. There's a whole lot of better teams in the National League than there are in the American League. But it appears he just did not want to play with the New York Yankees. It can't be for $30 million. I mean, it can't be at that point.
I completely agree with you. Right? I think you hit a great point there. Listen, without knowing if he's going to get the extra $40 million, if he opts out, whatever, he's getting $51.5 a year. The Yankee offer was $16,760. It's $47.5. It's $4 million. Money he'll never spend in his life, by the way. All right, so it doesn't matter. Either he didn't want to play for the Yankees, or he literally was going after every last little dime from the Mets. And like I said, I don't think it was that. I think there is some dysfunction with the Yankees. I think he knows, boy, if they sign me, they're not doing much else. And the Yankees still need a first baseman, a third baseman, a second baseman. They need bullpen help, and they're not going to fix all that. Not if they sign Soto. So I do think there is something to that, yes. But his statement, or people are saying that, well, he thinks the Mets have a brighter future. Well, you and I went over it. Even with Soto there, third best, maybe second best. We don't know about Strider. We don't know about Acuna when they're going to play. That does affect Atlanta. But they're not the best team right now. They have other moves to make. But I think Soto feels like Cohen, he'll make those moves. He don't care. He's spending money. With Steinbrenner, I truly believe if the Yankees would have signed Soto, Steinbrenner would have been like, that's it. I got you, Soto. Yeah. Good luck. And, checkbook's closed, then leave me alone.
Absolutely unbelievable. So the New York Mets land Soto and the richest sports contract in the history of all sports, bar none, on a 15-year deal, $75 million signing bonus, no deferred money, not like Bobby Bonilla of years past, or even Ohtani, Kurtz, where they're going to be paying him until he's 128. No. He's going to get all of this money here over the next 15 years. And congratulations, but I'll say it again. How many World Series titles, Mets, are you planning on winning now that you just shelled out that kind of money? You don't have the worldwide reach that the Dodgers or the Yankees have, so I don't know that a, 35, 36-year-old Soto, who's now going to be just a DH at the back end of that contract? Yikes, Kurtz. It's a risky move, but one that Cohen doesn't seem to matter whether they win or they don't win. He ended up getting Soto away from the Yankees, so maybe that's all the win that he needed there. We'll see how that plays out. Now, tonight, the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones would have signed Juan Soto if he could. I bet you anything, Kurtz. He would have wrote that check in a heartbeat, and he'd be just as bad a football team as he is. But the good news is he's playing another bad football team tonight in the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to dive into this game. We're going to talk some props as Game Time Decisions continues here on this Monday on the Grid.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back on this Monday Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri joined again by our good friend George Kurtz as Monday Night Football getting ready to take center stage tonight here. Not a lot else going on across the sports landscape. Just one NBA game, a handful of NHL games, and they're not really good because they involve the Rangers. And then, of course, college basketball on exam week now, so we don't have a ton in the way of college hoops, but we do have an interesting game tonight between two teams that have been thoroughly disappointed here. Joe Burrow and the Bengals there, Kurtz, taking on Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys, and it's been nothing but Cowboy money rolling in here. I mean, this was as high as 5.5, 6 for the Bengals, and now we're starting to see the money come rolling in on the Cowboys. I mean, listen, even at 4.5, who the hell are the Cincinnati Bengals to be laying money against your Cowboys or anybody else for that matter, George? What about that defense tells me they can go on the road and win a game in the second half, even against a backup quarterback who, by the way, has won his last couple of games here? I don't understand this line. What are you thinking?
Well, you said in the first segment, right, that this is not a great NFL game. And it's not, right? Cincinnati's, unless they win out, they're not, unless one of these teams wins out, they're not playing for anything. That being said, I think it's a fantastic game for props. I mean, I expect a shootout. I am definitely taking the over 49.5. All right. The Cowboys' problem in this game is going to be that I think Cincinnati's going to score 30 plus. Right? That's their offense. It's what they do. I don't think they can stop Chase and stop T. Higgins and certainly not stop Burrow. And I think Chase Brown is a damn good running back as well. I don't think the Cowboys could stop all that. They're still injured on defense here. Yes, Micah is back, and I expect him to make life a little difficult on Burrow at times, but not all the time. And after that, there's not much that's going to stop them. Trayvon Diggs is back for the Cowboys. Deron Bland's back. The first time, by the way, those two will have played together since week 2 of last season. Think of that. But still, these guys are good cornerbacks. They're not locked down. Right? Their points are going to be given up. So the reason why it's hard to trust the Cowboys is, the Cincinnati Bengal defense sucks. But do the Cowboys have the weapons to take care of that? You are doing the backup quarterback and rush. CeeDee Lamb's got the shoulder problem, right? So I think he can make the whole game, but one bad hit and he's done. And if he's done, by the way, the offense is done. And Joe, I can see the Cowboys offense being a little silly. And this is what I mean by it. Oh, you know what? We'll run the ball heavy. And this way, we'll keep Burrow off the field. That's all fine and good as long as you're scoring touchdowns behind that. But if you're just running the ball and then settling for field goals, then before you know it, you're down 14-6. So that's going to be an issue as well here. I was hesitant on Cincinnati at 6.5. 5.5 was better. 4.5, I'm on the Bengals here. I think it's going to be a game where they score. I think it's a high-scoring game, 34-24, somewhere around there. I think the Bengals are going to cover, however.
All right, so let's look at these quarterbacks here, Kurtz. Burrow and Cooper Rush here. Burrow looking at about, 270.5 passing yards is the number right now. Over 1.5 touchdowns or under for plus money, depending on what you're looking at. And meanwhile, Cooper Rush, his rushing yards, 19.5 is that number. And how about that? To throw an INT, yes, at minus 138. The problem is, what makes anybody think the Cincinnati Bengals backup defenders can even catch the ball and intercept them? And that's going to be the big question to me, is who do you like in the prop betting market when it comes to the quarterbacks here? Who you leaning towards?
Yeah, I do like the Cooper Rush throw interception for a couple of reasons. One, hey, you never know about the Hail Mary at the end of the half, right? Or the end of the game, those get picked off. But also, Cooper Rush does not have a gun for an arm. He throws a very catchable ball. And what I mean by that is, hey, yeah, easy to catch by the receivers, but also for defenders. All right, he doesn't have a rocket for an arm like most quarterbacks do, where it's always bouncing off these defenders' hands here. So that's the reason I like it as well. Plus, as I keep saying, I think the Cowboys at some point are playing from behind. They're going to have to throw the ball. It makes them more defendable or defensible as far as that. So, yeah, I like that. Cooper Rush over 237.5. He better get there. As a Cowboy fan, if he doesn't, no, this game didn't go well at all. He better get there, and he should get there. Joe Burrow going to take his over as well. It's Monday night. I think Cincinnati wants to put on a show. We've seen this. I mean, how many times do we need to see Cincinnati to realize what they're going to do? They're going to put points on the board here. They're going to have Joe Burrow drop back. He's going to throw the ball a gazillion times. And, yes, I like Chase Brown's rushing prop as well. And I like Chase Brown to score an anytime touchdown. I like, of course, Jamar Chase to score an anytime touchdown. I'm still debating, Joe, which one's the first scorer. Do I take Jamar Chase to score first or Chase Brown to score first? Still, weighing that one in the air, but one of them scoring the first touchdown here. I'm probably going to go with Jamar Chase to score I'm going to have them each to score a touchdown, Jamar Chase to score the first touchdown.
You like Jamar Chase to score the first one. Interesting there with that. Some of those numbers, Kurtz, are very interesting between Higgins and Chase. But I will say this. because it does appear that the Cowboys, and you alluded to it here, Kurtz, it looks like for the first time this season that they will actually have their top cornerback trio with Diggs, Bland, and Lewis available in this game. Can you believe that? I mean, say what you want about the Cowboys defense. They have been absolutely destroyed by injuries on that side of the ball. Now it looks like you're getting Trayvon Diggs back. Bland is back there. Jordan Lewis is there. Could this be, especially given the fact that Cincinnati is dealing with not one, but two backup offensive linemen here trying to protect Burrow? He don't get that ball out of his hands, Kurtz. It could be a long night for Burrow here as well.
What made the Cowboys defense so good in the past, the cornerbacks you just mentioned are also, I wouldn't call them sticky, but they're good cornerbacks. And because Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and whoever else could get to that quarterback, and you said, you got 2.5 seconds, better get rid of that ball, you're going down. The Cowboys only have Parsons now. So if I'm Cincinnati, you're double teaming him, triple teaming him. Hey, if someone else along that line can get the Burrow, what are we going to do? Those will be one-on-one situations. So the Cowboys need to take advantage of that when they can here. I think Burrow figures out a way. I think Cincinnati figures out a way here. But yeah, he's going to get sacked. And I think he's going to get 3+ sacks, and Parsons gets a sack. And you can bet on that, by the way, Parsons to get a sack. And I am on that as well. Maybe even Parsons to get 2.
Have the Cowboys won a game at home yet, Kurtz? Have they won any games?
They won on Thanksgiving, Joe. Won on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. Oh, so that's it. They're only going to win one game this year at home, I think. I don't know. Cowboys looking real juicy here, George. Even if you're not voting for them, I am. Appreciate it, Kurtz. Game Time Decisions back after this on the Grid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and we appreciate you stopping by as we are getting ready for a little Monday Night Football, and I've got myself some Sports Millions Pick'em props that I'm going to be looking at here tonight with a big focus on one over and a big focus on one fewer. And what I mean by that is we'll start with Chase Brown here tonight, who looks the part, doesn't he? I'm going to go lower than that number of 76.5. And the reason I'm going to go lower is because I am not sold that Cincinnati is going to be playing from in front in this game. I think Chase Brown is going to be doing a little less running, and I think he's going to do a little more receiving. So I would look higher on maybe his receiving prop, but that number is a little bit too much for me simply because I think this game is going to be won or lost for Cincinnati on the arm of Joe Burrow. And that's it. The only thing that is going to separate a win from a loss here is Joe Burrow. And that is how we're going to have to look at this game here tonight. So Joe Burrow, 24.5 passing completions was another interesting number that came up. I happen to think maybe higher is a better way to look here with Joe Burrow. Why? Because of what I just explained there. I think Dallas and that defense finally being healthy at home, I think they are going to make life a little bit more miserable for a bunch of backup offensive linemen, which is what the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be dealing with here tonight. I think he's going to have to throw the ball. I think he's going to have to go up and over in that game there of the 24.5. Now, since we got to pick one from both teams here, I'm going to focus with the Cowboys and Jake Ferguson, the tight end, who has missed a couple of weeks. Over last couple of weeks there, he had been a little bit banged up, but he is back tonight. And what a game it is going. What a game for him to be able to come back in against a Cincinnati defense that is going to be down, well, two of its great linebackers. In fact, Logan Wilson out in this one. And the Bengals cannot, under any circumstances, defend tight ends. And I think Cooper Rush, who is going to have Trey Hendrickson running around all over the place chasing him, I think he's going to get the ball out quickly to Ferguson. I think that number was too low. I'm looking at a higher number for him at 39.5 yards. The Bengals have struggled all year long with tight ends. And we're talking about Jake Ferguson when healthy here. He should have no problem going up and over this number. I think CeeDee Lamb, there's going to be a big focus on him with that banged up secondary. But the minute that Logan Wilson went down and he was their best cover linebacker, there is no way immediately the first guy I looked to was Jake Ferguson in this one. So my Sports Million pick'em is going to be Chase Brown lower than 76.5 rushing yards. I think Joe Burrow is going to have to use his arm. I think he's going to have to throw the ball a lot. I don't think the rushing lanes are going to be there, especially now that apparently the Cowboys have remembered what a pass rush is, and they're a little bit healthier. And then for the Cowboys, Jake Ferguson, I'm going to go higher than those 39.5 receiving yards tonight. So I got one with Cincinnati and Brown that's lower, and I've got one with Jake Ferguson that is higher. I'm expecting big things from this Cowboys team here. Yeah, I'm sorry, Cincinnati. No way. I've lost enough money on this Cincinnati Bengals team this year. There is no way I'm going to watch them lose another fourth quarter lead. And this time the Cowboys at home could be bringing it. And I think there's a lot more opportunities and edges to be had in this game. We'll talk more about it when Game Time Decisions returns, as we're getting ready for a big Monday Night Football battle. Come back and join us here on the Grid.
guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. A very happy Monday to you as we get ready for some Monday Night Football, but a light slate across the other sports here. Just one NBA game, handful of NHL games, college basketball on exam week, so we'll have fewer games this week in college hoops, but none of it seems to matter because the thing that garnered the most headlines last night wasn't the Kansas City Chiefs eking out another win and once again winning, which feels like forever, the AFC West. It was Major League Baseball in the news about Juan Soto, and I can't think of anybody better to get the thoughts on this than our good friend Craig Mish, host of Newswire here on the SportsGrid Network. And Craig, happy Monday. I mean, I'm watching the game last night, and the phone is blowing up. Soto signs. I'm going, oh, he's going back to the Yankees. What's the news? No. Wrong New York team. What are your initial thoughts about the signing of Soto with the Mets?
Yeah, Joe, I think basically the idea, at least for me, for Soto is if he genuinely had the opportunity to go back to the Yankees, then he clearly wanted to, at least in my opinion, be the man on the Mets. I think that's really what it comes down to here because I know he had a really good relationship with Aaron Judge, to say the least, and they went all the way to the World Series. But this was really an open and shut case. If he wanted to be a Yankee, he could have put those pinstripes back on. To me, I think, Joe, and again, from what I understand, he wants to be the guy. You know, when they say all rise, they want to all rise for Soto in Citi Field. So, I mean, I don't think that he holds anything against the Yankees. I mean, it seemed like a really good relationship at the time, but all players have egos. And to say that Juan Soto doesn't have an ego would be silly. I mean, look at that guy in the batter's box every night. So to me, that's kind of at least what I'm understanding what it really came down to. And as far as the money is concerned, it was more or less even. So now Soto gets to be the man at Citi Field without a doubt because he's asking for it. He's going to get it.
So, I mean, this is back-to-back off seasons, right, Craig, where we've got Shohei, $700 million, which they're going to pay for now until however long there. No deferment in this contract. So 15 years, you got a whole bunch of money, $75 million in a signing bonus. I'm just wondering, where does it go here for Major League Baseball? Like, are these just anomalies, or are we expecting more type of unbelievable deals like this in the future?
Yeah, look, I mean, we had generational players the last 2 off seasons, and I don't see any on the horizon right now, Joe, like these two, Ohtani and Soto. And I think that you look, especially at the age of Soto, I think that's the reason why he got the amount of years and he got the amount of money. But, let's also call it what it is. I mean, $750 million is out of control. And, I got to tell you, in the future, I find it very hard for me to believe that when the next labor deal is up, that owners are still going to want to see this kind of money being spent. I don't know how it's going to go. It's the only sport that doesn't have a salary cap. I'm going to guess there's going to be a push for that again, Joe. I cannot see this just continuing to give out 700 and 600 and 800 million. I mean, what is next? And it's really, honestly, when you think about it, the first few years will be good for the Mets, but it's not great for the Mets in 10 years. It's not great for the sport in 10 years either. So which direction this goes, it still remains to be seen, but I do see some serious labor strife coming up next. Now, if they do have a salary cap, I think they probably have to have a salary floor too, and I think that would give it more competitive balance because, again, it would force some of the teams who don't spend to actually spend some money. But I think what this did prove, Joe, is that luxury tax that they put in, that doesn't mean a thing. Mets blew right by this one.
Not the guys like Cohen, who it just seems like, listen, he did Yamamoto, right? Yamamoto wanted to play for the Dodgers. That was it. But he was willing to throw all sorts of money there, lost out to the Dodgers. Now he lands Soto. My question is, to pay this kind of money and set this kind of precedent, how many World Series do you have to win? Or at least make, Craig, to make this all worth it?
Multiple. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, it's got to be not just one. I don't think that that's fair. But again, it's very hard to do in this sport because you do get to the end of the line and anybody can win. I think people are going to look back, Joe, 5-10 years from now and say, who won the 2023 World Series? Joe, you probably don't even remember now off the top of your head who won the 20. It was the Texas Rangers. They won the World Series.
Yep.
Like the anomalies happen every year where, sometimes you get the dynasty team, sometimes you get the high spending team like the Dodgers, and other times it's random. So there simply is no guarantees in all of this. The Astros sort of paved the way for winning and say what you want about them. They did capture a number of World Series. They did pay their high price guys, but not to the extent that we've seen with what the Mets did. And you made a really good point too. The Mets tried for Yamamoto also. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you have endless zeros at the end of the bank account there, like Cohen does. But let me ask you this. Does this make them the favorite? Are the Mets? I don't even know that they're the best team in the National League East just because of Soto. I mean, he's a great hitter, don't get me wrong, but we've seen his defense is a liability at times. Are they still third best in the National League?
I don't think so. And probably the worst time to bet the Mets is this moment. I think that's fair too. Like they're getting that boost right there from that. No, I definitely have Philadelphia ahead of them. I probably have Atlanta ahead of them too. And I would say in a couple of years, if not sooner, the Washington Nationals are going to be right back at it. They've got some incredible young players, and I think that with a few pitchers, they're going to be in this thing too. And then, Joe, hopefully we can say that about the Marlins in a couple of years. But for now, we've mentioned the teams that potentially could compete. At this point, I would say the Mets are the second or third best team in the division, and it wouldn't shock me at all to see Washington make a huge jump this year as well.
Yeah, I still have nightmares about Josh Beckett beating the Yankees in the World Series, but that's a different conversation.
That was great.
Craig. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was great. All right, that was a lot of money I lost on that one. Let me ask you this: from the flip side on the Yankees, what happens now? Is it okay? So they lost out. I thought it was important that they didn't get outbid like they were being cheap about it, but it appears they offered just as much. He didn't want to play for the Yankees. So now where do the Yankees go from here?
Yeah, I think you said it best. He obviously did not want to play for the Yankees. Let's not get it twisted. That's the reality of the situation. We don't know exactly the details, but he chose not to play for them. And also, let's not exclude the Dodgers. My understanding is the Dodgers were very much a player in this right up until the end. So I think from this point forward, the Yankees can take a step back. They can be disappointed that the brand got hurt a little bit, but they still do have the money. and they can pivot to a lot of very capable players. They can get to Oscar Hernandez, who probably offensively can put up, 75, 80% of what Juan Soto did this past year. His defense isn't necessarily there. That's something that they could do. They could pivot to Alex Bregman. They could pivot to some more pitching. And, again, they do a great job in scouting and development. They keep calling up young players. Volpe has come up. Jason Dominguez has come up. Aaron Judge several years ago. So they still do a really good job in that category. It's a temporary setback, but I would not say that Juan Soto is going to cause the Yankees to, let's say, lose 10 or 15 more games next season. If they don't do anything else in the offseason, then we can have that conversation.
Couple of big arms, Craig. Free agency: Corbin Burns, Max Fried. Do they leave? Do you see anything crazy happening with them?
Yeah, I would think the Yankees will get one of those, right? Like I think they'll end up with one of those starting pitchers. I don't know which one it will be. It seems like the Braves at this point really aren't. Maybe they are back in on Max Fried, but it seems like they're content with letting him go. And then Burns is the prize at this point for starting pitching. So yes, Joe, I think it would be very plausible for us to think that the Yankees will end up with a really good starting pitching and a hitter too, when they may have ended up with Soto. In fact, Cashman today, I believe at the winter meeting, said that they wanted to talk to Blake Snell, but that went really quickly, and then they found out that he was just gone to the Dodgers. So that gives you an indication. I think Max Fried probably ends up with the Yankees.
I think that those dominoes will start to fall now that the Soto drama is over. Craig Mish, always a pleasure, my man. Thanks for shedding some light here on the situation. Game Time Decisions will be back after this on the Grid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We got the NBA Cup going on. Not that anybody really cares per se about the NBA Cup. Now, I got to be honest with you. I actually did try to look what does it mean like for the NBA Cup? Like who's playing for what here? And I lost interest and I gave up after about 30 seconds. And I was like, you know what? Whatever, dude. There's NBA games.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid. Welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on this Monday in the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we get ready for some Monday Night Football. The Cincinnati Bengals, 4-8 on the season, taking on the 5-7 Cowboys. Neither of these two teams are where they thought or had hoped that they would be at this point in the season, but Dallas has played pretty well lately. And crazy enough, there is a little bit of a pulse out there for the NFC wild card race, thanks to the actually winning that game at Washington here. They've got another game coming up against the Commanders. And if the Commanders continue to show signs of wobbling down the stretch here, Dallas, if they win tonight here and maybe they rattle off a few more wins, anything is possible. And they did snap, of course, the whole Arlington bugaboo jinx on Thanksgiving. They did beat the Notre Dame. No, I'm sorry. Not Notre Dame. They wouldn't beat Notre Dame either. Who are we kidding? The Giants. They ended up beating the Giants on Thanksgiving. Not that that is a great, that is some sort of great accomplishment there. But Dave Sherapan knows about that. Dave's excited about the Juan Soto. No, never mind. Dave's not excited about the Juan Soto. No, he is. Yep, I can see he's wearing the Yankee blue there.
Yeah,
You're getting the stripes. You're wearing the Cowboys and the Yankees. That is blasphemous on so many levels to Giant and Met fans.
I know. It's unbelievable. I probably could have got it from George Kurtz. I mean, this is George Kurtz's teams, is it not? Cowboys, Yankees.
Yes.
And, a lot of the front runner fans, it's not really their year, really. I mean, we're still recovering. Kevin's not here, probably not even thinking about the Yankees right now.
No.
I guess Juan Soto's not thinking about them either. Can you believe it? The Mets, Cohen, just whatever the bid is, add 30. I mean, that's I see that in books. You want that? We'll add this, and we'll up the charges. And they got their guy. The New York Mets got Juan Soto. I don't know if it's good for baseball. I don't know. I mean, one guy, all that money.
It can't be good for baseball. It can't be.
I don't know. Oh, my God.
It can't be. And there's no deferment in this one, which makes it even crazier, given the fact that, listen, Ohtani, it's the Bobby Bonilla on crack, all right? That he's going to be getting money until he lives to be 120 years old. But this is $75 million up front and then the rest in 15 years, Dave. I mean, there is no... and other owners have to be absolutely going. This is back-to-back off seasons, Dave. That's what, $1.4 billion in two guys in the last two off seasons? Where does it go from here?
I have no idea. It's way above my pay grade, but I know this. I think a lot of people are starting to look at it and go, man, I mean, it's getting hard enough to take a family of four to the game and the tickets expensive, this and that. I love baseball. All right. I do. And I want to see it where I feel like, it's nighttime in Pittsburgh behind me. I want to see the Pirates have a competitive chance. And when you look at the odds, just to win a National League, you have to move the Mets up because people are going to bet them. But you're in a book and you're like, all right, it's the Dodgers. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, the Braves are in the Mets division and they're the actual favorite ahead of them. Then there's Yankees, Astros, a couple American League teams. Then it's, Phillies, Padres, a couple more American League teams. And then the 10th team on the list is a National League Central team, the Chicago Cubs, at 30-1. It might as well be 300, right? I guess somebody has to win a division. But, man, I mean, everything good going on in Pittsburgh with Skeens and everything else like that. You just want to be – you're on a different planet. We talked about it on Bostonian versus the book today. Peralt brought up a graphic because he had a little hint of Soto could end up on the Red Sox, and I kept telling him he's staying in New York. He's going to one or the other, and it turns out they were leveraging each other. Who knew? But the Pirates, last 10 years, they've spent $750 million total on the team. 10 years. Soto got more than that. I mean, it's going to be paid over 15 years, but he got paid more than that. One guy, one deal. So it's different economics for everybody. I don't know why am I wearing this Yankee hat. I mean, I got the Mets hat close by. It matches the Cowboys.
There it is. Look at you. Right. You're just playing. You're just playing everybody here, Sherapan. You're just catering to all the fan bases, except maybe the Bengals, who you don't apparently believe can win this game tonight. And I guess, I mean, they were almost a 6-point favorite, Dave, but the money has come pouring in on the Cowboys tonight, down to 4.5. The total has been bet up like people know the score. That worries me a little bit, if we're being honest.
It does. And, me and Adam and Vecchio will do, Pro Football Today after this. Those guys will have props. If I was betting right now, they won't have one prop under. I don't think you're going to see one. I don't even know which one you would pick under. Maybe Dallas rushing yards under, the running back under, maybe. But like CD Lamb, probably over. I like Cooper Rush to throw at least a touchdown, if not two. There's going to be – how could the Bengals be this big of road favorites over anybody? I mean, because of this guy, Joe Burrow. That's, I guess, why. Like, he's going to outgun him, maybe. But, I mean, I think the game looks a lot like Buffalo and the Rams did yesterday, Joe, where the team with the ball last. I'm not saying 80 points are going to be scored, but I think it might be a little bit light if you can find under 50, which I don't think you can anymore, right? All the 50s are gone. Bye-bye. Yeah, 51 right now. Flying.
Yep. 50.5 is out there, and that's good because I'm going completely contrarian, and I am fading the total to the under, and I am also, you ready for this? I'm taking the Bengals team total under because I think Dallas wins this game outright. We'll have more
Here we go.
with Dave Sharapan. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We got the NBA Cup going on. Not that anybody really cares per se about the NBA Cup. Now, I got to be honest with you. I actually did try to look of like, okay, like what does it mean like for the NBA Cup? Like who's playing for what here? And I lost interest and I gave up after about 30 seconds. And I was like, you know what? Whatever, dude. There's NBA games.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on this Monday night as we're getting ready for Monday Night Football. Dave Sharapan will be taking over here in a couple of minutes here, Dave, as the kickoff just after 8 o'clock Eastern time between Cincinnati and Dallas here. It was a limited card on the ice. Were you looking at anything here tonight? Anything that piqued your interest with these games here?
It's been a rough couple days for all the New York teams. I mean, the
It's
Jets
brutal.
lost again. The
Oh.
Giants lost again. The Mets got Soto from the Yankees, who basically lost, and the Rangers lost over the weekend. But they're playing tonight, Joe.
Against the Blackhawks.
The Rangers should win the game. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah,
Right? The
they
Rangers
should.
tonight, chalk Rangers, chalk Canadians. And I don't know about the Buffalo Sabres. I don't know. I'm thinking the Red Wings might be live today. Like looking at those 3 games, we looked at all that. But yeah, me, Kaufman, and Vecchio will have more after you close up shop here. We'll have all of the props and the different things. Joe, did you see yesterday the Steelers won again?
Yes.
Are we ready to say that? Despite the fact that the Chiefs won again, they're 12-1, their point differential is not what it should be. They keep getting lucky. They doinked in the game-winning field goal. Dare we say that Pittsburgh is the next choice after Buffalo lost? Is it Buffalo or Pittsburgh or the Ravens that's going to represent the AFC? Come on, Sam.
Here's the problem, Dave. Every one of those teams you just mentioned has serious warts. There are absolutely, and I'd even go on the other side too. If you're going to talk Detroit or Minnesota, listen, these teams have had great regular seasons thus far, but there are serious deficiencies that can be taken advantage of with the right matchup with all those teams. I don't see any true, wow, this is the team to beat. I really don't. Now, I don't know if that's parity, Dave, or not. But I can tell you with the Kansas City Chiefs, and you tell me, and you guys will talk about this tonight, I'd rather be lucky than good, Dave. Any day, I'd rather be lucky than good because it snowballs. It snowballs.
Say that in casino. We said that in the book all the time. You'd rather be lucky than good. Sometimes those games fall your way. Maybe the Knicks will be lucky tonight for the city of New York.
Nobody likes the Knicks.
The Knicks will win at Toronto. Yeah, the Knicks will win. They won't cover, though.
No, nobody likes this. I'm trying to bet Hofstra, and I can't get anybody behind us that likes Hofstra here. So maybe you can, Sheripan. Enjoy the game here tonight, Dave. We appreciate it. He's coming up, of course. Pro football tonight here. Got a lot going on. A closing out week 14. We got a couple of days. Week 15 will be here. And, Dave was alluding to it. There is a lot still to be determined here. Not only in the NFC, but certainly in the AFC, too, with the Chargers losing last night. And you look at the playoff picture now, there is Broncos 8-5, Chargers 8-5, Ravens 8-5 here. There is not a whole lot separating this middle group with Buffalo 10-3. The Chiefs keep winning games, might have, by beating the Chargers and the Bills losing, might have just wrapped up the number 1 seed in doing so. So you look at that schedule, and you got to wonder if that Steeler game is even going to matter in a couple of weeks here. But I look at the Commanders, 8-5, Packers 9-4, Vikings 11-2. The Commanders at 8-5, and the Cowboys still have to play them. And this is what we were talking about earlier. The Cowboys aren't dead in the water yet. They've already beat the Commanders. And really, outside of the Commanders, what else is there here? I mean, who else in the NFC has got a puncher's chance? Well, the Cowboys have a puncher's chance, especially since they're going to play this Commanders team again before it's all said and done. So can they get to 6-7? The Rams at 7-6 right now are in that 8th spot right now, looking and hoping that Washington falters this week and maybe down the road. So this is a big game for the Cowboys. They are not dead yet, but they got to hold serve tonight at home against the Bengals. My money's on the Cowboys tonight, and I'm taking the under, and I'm fading the Bengals team total under 27.5. We got so much more to get to here on the Sports Grid Network. Don't go anywhere. Game Time Decisions. We'll see you again tomorrow here on the Grid.